Welcome to Realty Uncut. Our daily shows are powered by CoreLogic and supported by Printforce and realty.com.au.
Hello and welcome to the show. Well, as we head to the end of what's been a great year for so many people and a very challenging and difficult one for others, I hope that you're feeling that 2022 has got to be better than 2021. I certainly am. Well, it will be if you plan to make it so. I've always found that at this time of year, the end of the year, it's a time for reflection, for renewal, and certainly for planning. And that's what I'd like to tackle in this show. So I've invited Michael Sheargold to join me to discuss, I guess, what's a different way to approach how you might be planning to look at next year. Michael is going to stage his much anticipated and unfortunately delayed because of COVID business of real estate very early next year. In fact, it'll be the last day of February and the first day of March. I've always been impressed with not only the quality of speakers that Michael is able to attract to the stage, but the quality of the people who choose to attend his conference. Now that to me is the mark of a great event, when the best of the best choose to be there. You can find out why they choose to attend this event when I return with Michael in just a moment.
Property deductions can save you thousands of dollars each year. To make sure you maximise deductions, you need to work with the most experienced quantity surveyor in the country. BMT Tax Depreciation is the leading specialist in the industry. They've completed over 700,000 tax deduction schedules for residential investment and commercial properties Australia-wide. BMT guarantee to find double your fee in the first full financial year deductions. Call BMT on 1300 728 726 today for an obligation-free quote.
Hello and welcome to the show. Our guest this week is Michael Sheargold, and I mentioned at the intro there, Michael, about business of real estate. Firstly, hello and welcome to the show. Good to have your company again.
Thanks, Kevin. Really excited about everything that you're doing with Realty Uncut, and also, importantly, where the profession is heading in terms of 2022.
Yeah, well, interesting, and we'll get to that because I'm really keen to find out your thoughts about next year. But Michael, I mentioned in the introduction there about the business of real estate coming up early next year. Why is it, and I've looked at the number of people who go to it and who goes to it, why is it that so many key leaders actually attend that conference in particular?
Yeah, look, it's a great question, Kevin. The way we design business of real estate seems to be very unique for a conference design, where we start with what are the 5 big areas, shifts, perspectives, themes that the leaders within the real estate profession need to be across, aware of, know about, and so on. And then based on those 5, we go who in the profession and who outside of the profession can really add value to that particular perspective. So for example, Gilbert Enoka, who is the head coach of the All Blacks, really excited about him being there. And this is a really good example of someone outside being able to add perspective to it. So you'll really see a brilliant flow as the 2 days go through. And the 16 speakers that we've got really do deliver a key message because their area of genius, their area of expertise is something we really tap into at Business of Real Estate. And of course, the networking is exceptional, where you're rubbing shoulders with other great leaders and hearing not only from the front of the room, but from your colleagues sitting at the tables, great strategy, great perspective from there. And I guess that's actually leads us in beautifully to what we're going to focus on today, which are 5 key strategies to just help map into 2022 in the most effective way possible.
Yeah, well, I want to lead you into that because it sort of leads nicely into what you're going to pick up at the business of real estate, and that is the first key issue is getting the vision right. I mean, if you don't, as a leader, have your vision right, how the hell can you expect your team to follow, Michael?
Yeah, it's super important with this because vision clarity is, it's talked about a lot. What's your vision? What's your vision? And sometimes it's like, okay, it's a statement on the wall, tick, I've done that. Or I sent that out to the team, or I shared that with the team a couple of years ago, everything's great. What vision clarity is all about is firstly, do you understand the vision? Where are we heading as a business? Secondly, is it communicated and understood by everyone in the team? And there's two ways that I like to go about creating a vision. Either you can share a created vision, or you can create a shared vision. And they both work. They both absolutely work. So you might be super, super passionate. You've got massive clarity of your vision. Well, guess what? You need to share that with the team so the team actually can start to see their vision within your vision. So it literally links in beautifully. So that's the power of literally sharing a passionate, compelling future that people can buy into.
I was going to ask you, Michael, I'm sorry to cut across you there. Is this one of the most difficult things you find for a leader? Is at the start of the year to get this clarity right?
Yeah, well, I think this is a perfect time that we're actually doing this particular series, because it will allow someone to reflect on this and then map into it. But I'm a great believer. Our clients all do launch pads early in the year, and the purpose of a launch pad is literally, let's launch the year. Maybe do a quick review of what happened, but really focus on the future. And the metaphor I like there, Kevin, is the windscreen metaphor and the rear vision mirror. So the rear vision mirror is like that big, and the windscreen is this big. So sure, spend a little bit of time reflecting on what we've learned so far, but spend most of the time talking about the future and get me excited as a team member about where we are heading and why we've got such a compelling future in front of us. When a leader gets that right, it will make a massive difference. Now, that second component, Kevin, we spoke of is you either share a created vision or you create a shared vision. Creating a shared vision, if you've got a bigger leadership team, and some of the clients I work with have got exceptionally large businesses, so therefore they want to not just have their own vision shared, but they want to actually create a collective vision with the senior people within the business. And this is literally will take longer because you're getting different perspectives. And I look at this of climbing up the mountain. So here's some perspective, here's some perspective, here's some perspective, here's some perspective. And what we want to do is collate that into something that we can turn around and say, everyone in the team can buy into this, everyone's focused on it, and they can literally have an empowering conversation. But I just think it's so critically important. Whichever way you choose to do it, I'll back you with it. But importantly, if your team doesn't know where we are heading, they'll just move into this mode of SSDD, which is same stuff, different day. And you'll be concerned as a leader. Why are these people just turning up and not turned on to really growing, to delivering great service, to delivering something amazing in the marketplace?
Michael, in the business of real estate, looking, and I love that story about the rear vision mirror and the windscreen and the bigger view through the windscreen. You need to look into the rear vision mirror, but not do it all that often, because you need to know where you've come from to know where you're going to as well. And that, to me, like business of real estate or a couple of days out of your business is a great time to reflect on the past, but project where you're going into the future.
Yeah. And look, it's such a good point. I occasionally talk about that same metaphor. Imagine if the windscreen was the size of the rear vision mirror, and the rear vision mirror was actually excuse me, let me get that right. The rear vision mirror was the size of the windscreen, and the windscreen was the size of the rear vision mirror. So therefore, I'm looking just out this little bit, and I'm looking in the past. By the way, some businesses are like that without even knowing it, that they're spending most of the time, remember the good old days, like they're done and dusted. Let's actually focus on the future and where we're actually heading.
Yeah. Another important question I know that you ask during the business of real estate is what is important to us, and this all comes back to values, doesn't it? And the strength of your values, Michael.
Absolutely. So if you want to improve decision making and action taking across your entire business, improve the quality and the awareness of what your values are. And this is somewhere in the 5 to 7 core values that we're going to operate this business by. Maybe you could stretch it to 10, but the smaller the number, the more I can keep them in my mind and keep them in my focus. I love what you said there before. What's important to us? Values ultimately answer that question. So what's important to us? But you could ask some other questions. How do we want to work together as a team? How do we want to be perceived by our clients? How do we want to be perceived by the marketplace? bring all that information together, and I can pretty much guarantee you'll start to get some clarity around the values. Once again, you could do this as a broader team, or you can do it with a smaller team, but you want to get clarity on that. Once again, shared and understood by everyone. And that understood bit's important. I might have shared them, but have the team actually understood them in such a way that they're internalized in the way they're making their decisions?
Yeah, it comes back to that first point we made, wasn't it, about that clarity of the vision. If you've got that clarity and you know what those standards are, it becomes so much easier to enrol the whole team in that. And talking, Michael, about enrolling the team, I want to talk about culture. And culture's a word that's bandied around a lot, but I like the way that you link it with performance, and it sort of underscores that constant drive to get better all the time, that there's a culture around performance.
Yeah. And Kevin, just before we go to performance, what I do want to say, the two elements we've just covered off on are keys to a performance culture. If you don't have vision clarity, and by the way, that's out there in the future. Here's where we're heading, guys. And values alignment, which means we've got this values strength in how we're operating today. So the decisions and actions we're doing today are based on these values. That will get us there faster. And then absolutely a performance culture. And one of the quickest exercises you can do with your team, be it sales, ops team, property management team, the business overall, depending on the size of your operation, is to actually ask the team, what does a performance culture actually look like? So you're actually asking the team, what does a performance culture look like? And it is amazing when they start to roll through, here's what a performance culture looks like. What you now have is this framework where the team have actually contributed. Now, the other exercise that I definitely do with teams is, well, what's in a performance culture, but importantly, Kevin, what's out of a performance culture. And what's out is sort of like, I call it the whistle blow moment. If the whistle blows, it's out. It's not sort of out. It's not partly out. The ball's out. And I like the metaphor of the sporting metaphor around this. I love my sporting metaphors. But it's interesting, if I'm playing soccer or rugby league or rugby union, AFL, tennis, netball, basketball, baseball, they all involve a ball. The challenge is the game plan is quite different. So in a performance culture, what we do is we bring in different people from, great tennis players and boom, 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 boom. And we've got to actually align them to, here's the game plan we're playing. Well, I'm really good at tennis. Okay, great. But we actually don't play tennis here. We're playing soccer here. So let's come into focus with this. And what this is about is the more that we can align that culture, the faster we move forward. So I meet one person from your organization, I meet 2, 3, 4, 10 different people from your organization. So there's something magical about this particular business and team. I've met 10 different people, and they're all have got a similar style, a similar energy, a similar commitment. I'm not saying personality has been reduced. I'm saying personality has been increased, but it's the style that's coming through is exceptional with this, and it's based on performance culture.
Wow, that is so powerful. How much of the conversation over the couple of days is taken up at this point, Michael? I mean, how important, you elaborated there on those first 2 points, how important they are. Is this like a midway point, this performance culture?
Well, effectively, we're going to hear a lot of different leaders from within the real estate profession, and then of course Gilbert from an All Blacks point of view, who is going to talk about culture. All Blacks. It blows my mind every single time I think of the All Blacks. It's the number one sporting team brand on the planet. It's the most winning team of any sporting team, professional team on the planet. A population of 5 million people, and hello to all of my amazing New Zealand friends. I'm looking forward to seeing you at the Business of Real Estate. And the thing that I'm sort of like blown away with, how could that possibly be? It should be a team from one of the hundreds of million population, but it's not. And it has to do with the way they operate. It has to do with their culture, their vision clarity. And I'm so looking forward to that. So my belief is, through the business of real estate, they're going to be laced in beautifully, where we're going to get to understand and hear different perspectives. And of course, I would have an expectation that a leader coming to business of real estate would walk away with an elevated view how to drive, inspire, ignite, clarify, align their performance culture at a higher level than when they came into business of real estate. Absolutely.
You're talking about the All Blacks there, and as you know, I spent quite a few years in New Zealand, and you've really got to live there to understand the importance of the All Blacks in that national culture, and it's almost ingrained in each one of those players that they have to perform for the country, like that. The expectation is so high. You only have to be there when the All Blacks don't do well in a game. Everyone's talking about it, and it's almost like the whole nation goes into a depression. So the expectation is extremely high, and I think that comes through in the level of performance. It's just accepted. If you're an All Black, you're going to be outstanding.
Yeah, look, James Kerr wrote the book Legacy, and if any of the leaders haven't read Legacy, it would be a great read even before getting into business of real estate. Well, one of the things that I love in Legacy is if I've got a certain jersey number, I'm actually given a book, and the book is everyone who has actually had that jersey number before me. Wow. And Kevin, this blows me away. I'll probably get emotional as I say it. So here am I. I've just made it to the All Blacks. I've got a jersey number I've given my jersey and this book. And now I flick through every single person who has had this number before me. And then the last pages are blank. And the reason they're blank is because you will write the next chapter for this number. Wow. It is extraordinary when you start to think about that. And to bring some of this into our businesses and to learn from this and how to integrate it into our culture, it's just significant.
Yeah, this is just a bit of an insight for you as to some of the points you're going to learn at Business of Real Estate.
So we're excited about that. We're incredibly enthusiastic. Many of our clients have been totally okay that we've had to bump the date a couple of times, and we're now sitting at a date that we do believe we'll be able to honour.
And I've been to a few of your conferences and always thoroughly enjoy them. One of the things that I learn from it is that the really top performers, the really good performers, are always recruiting. They're always looking to grow their team. One of the most important elements in building a team is that constant growth, because it challenges both the leader and the team, Michael.
Absolutely. Well, and I have a mantra for my clients, and that is ABR, always be recruiting. Now, a lot of people say, but Michael, I've got a small team. Why would I want to be recruiting? Well, here's the thing. And probably the best example that I share with leaders, I had this particular principal say to me, Michael, no one in my team's leaving. Everyone's, they're loving it. They're all there. Nothing's going to happen. Anyway, his number one sales writer over Christmas met with his brother-in-law, and his brother-in-law talked with him about a Tire Power franchise. He actually sends a text, right, between Christmas and New Year and said, good news. I now just bought a Tire Power franchise. I'm no longer in real estate. See you later. Could not see it coming at all. One of his other team, the partner got a promotion that involved an interstate transfer. Suddenly, they're gone as well. And it was this mode for him in this moment to go like, oh, wow, now I get why always be recruiting is there. And the concept, once again, it's a sporting concept, is who is on the bench? Who have we got on the bench? Who is it we got in the background that potentially we could tap on the shoulder and say, hey, the time is now to be able to bring that into play. And look, there are two big recruiting questions that I talk about, and many leaders get caught in the first recruiting question, and that is, who are we good at recruiting? And I go, well, that's an impressive question to be asking. Well done, good job. In actual fact, the second question is more important, in my opinion, and that is, who are we great at making successful? Because, Kevin, I've seen people good at recruiting these people, but they're not good at making them successful. So therefore, there's this tail. And by the way, the tail annoys the performers in the business dramatically. Performers in property management, performers in sale, they get annoyed by it. performers in our operations team too. So what we want to do is move into this mode and I'm sure every leader here has heard it, is hire slow and fire fast. And the only way you can do that is you're already hiring someone before you need someone. This is a really important shift in model. So we don't wait until we've got a vacancy and then we actually go and start recruiting for that vacancy. We're actually recruiting for a vacancy that might come in the future. And basically we've got people who are around the place. And by the way, the other part of ABR that I love is, understanding your business model, understanding who you're great at recruiting. You might find that you could go to a phone dealer to get a new phone and you get this impressive service experience from this person. You could be at a restaurant and the person who serves you, it just blows you away in terms of service. And I've had a few experiences where I say, listen, if you can make desserts sound that compelling for us to order them, what could you do with a property? Now, there's more to it than one particular component, but you get the point. If you've got an ABR focus, always be recruiting, you can be in any environment and start to see who literally you notice and say, this person is impressive. There's an opportunity here for them to come into the profession.
Yeah, always have that radar out, always be recruiting. Michael, you touched on a point there about recruiting, and there's the two elements to it, and that is bringing someone new into the team, but then making them great, and that comes about through coaching, doesn't it? So how much time will you be spending on this element of growth in next year?
Well, a couple of things. If someone really wants to upgrade their coaching skills, and I talk about deal support, performance coaching, and development coaching. So there's those three distinctions. And a lot of the times I have leaders say to me, oh yeah, I spend a lot of time coaching my team. And what I find they're doing, Kevin, is they're actually doing deal support. How I get this deal across the line. I've got this landlord-tenant issue. I've got this issue in terms of, we're 50K away from getting this deal across the line. What do I need to say to this buyer for them to get ready to bid at auction? All those kind of conversations. That's deal support. And I would give in over 95% of real estate agencies a huge tick to the quality of deal support that's available within those agencies. It's a huge tick. Is there an opportunity to improve it? Probably. But the big improvement is not in deal support, it's in performance coaching and development coaching. And the distinction that I can share here is performance coaching puts clients at the center. So notice deal support put the deal at the center. Performance coaching puts now performance. It'll be a 90-day race. It will be how's your pipeline? Are you on track, off track, and so on. So it's very focused on the numbers, on targets and achievement. When you move to development coaching, it's focused on the team member. You put them at the center. How are you traveling? Where are you at? What is it that you're wanting to achieve in the next 12, 18 months? If there was a shift in the way you want to be positioned in the marketplace, what would that be? If there were 3 skills you want to improve and upgrade next year, what would those skills be? Now, here's the interesting thing. We've just covered ABR, and I love the fact that you actually integrated those two beautifully well together, because always be recruiting. The best recruiting model is a coaching model. It is a development coaching model. And what that means is you're sitting down with someone and you're asking them about where are they heading? What's their big picture look like? And as soon as you get into that kind and lean into that mode, that perspective, the impact that has is huge, Kevin. It really is a significant impact in terms of how someone can operate. And then you asked the question around frequency. Well, there's a difference between someone new coming in. We call these launch agents or launch team members. Then you've got rising star team members, and then you've got performers coming in. So it's important that you don't have one onboarding process, but you actually have 3 onboarding processes for those particular 3. Because if you've got a performer coming into the business and you want to treat them like a launch agent, they're going to get very frustrated. But I see a lot of the time a launch agent comes in and we treat them like a performer, and they are a deer in the headlights. They're bouncing around on a pinball machine and they don't know where to go. A lot of energy, because a new person coming in has got a lot of energy, but it's just going nowhere fast. Yeah. And that's I'm big on the first 12 weeks. The first 12 weeks, someone at the end of that 3 months, I should be able to have a conversation with that team member and say, so have the commitments that were made in coming on board with this agency, have they been honoured? I'm looking for someone to say, absolutely. In fact, it is so much better than what I thought it would be. You do not want the recruiting process to be better than the onboarding process.
Yeah.
That's super important.
Michael, it's really interesting to hear you speak there, and it makes me reflect on, so I've met some principals and worked with some principals who are really very good at recruiting. And one thing that I've found, there's one particular person in Brisbane whose name I won't mention because they don't have his permission, but he is probably one of the best recruiters I've ever seen, and he takes a long-term view. Like, he'll be working with someone for maybe 6 to 12 months. But one of the key things he does is when he meets with them, he helps them with that deal support, and he uses that as a leverage to get them on board, because they know that this coaching is going to be there for them, this support is going to be there for them. But the coaching, like that deal support, is a bit like giving someone a fish. You'll feed them for a day, you give them a fishing rod, you'll feed them for life. And, so deal support, while it's important, it's not as important as that ongoing stimulation and ongoing training. Have I read that correctly?
Yeah, you absolutely have. And look, I think occasionally what great leaders need to do is see what their sort of, I'll call it on-demand questions are. So if you can imagine sort of a website on demand. So here are all these on-demand things that are happening. Okay, great. So I need to help the team learn and come up to another level with this. So they're struggling with fees. Guess what? Let me actually upgrade fees. They're struggling with pricing. Let me upgrade that. So it's through an intimate knowledge of the team, it should define the training. And look, occasionally, someone's going to ask us, well, what's going to be in the mastermind in August next year? And we'll be like, I can let you know in July next year, but for me to tell you, what's going to be in August, it's more than likely going to have some kind of spring element to it, because that's sort of the time of year. But as to what's needed, well, that's got to do with where the property clock is at. That's got to do with what's happening in the market. That's the dynamics that will exist. And I guarantee it's about how can we read the play with this. And that's about helping the team members build skills. So then you move into a situation around deal support. I come to you for deal support, and you sort of go, dude, what are you coming to me for this for? You are totally across this. Like, by all means, let me know what you've done, but I trust you. I believe in you. Get out there and make it happen. And that's like, oh, okay. Because very quickly, I can have a deal support habit that's built that doesn't serve you. And for that matter, it doesn't serve me. And I think you want to actually get involved in it, where in actual fact, it's just a habit as I've sort of evolved and moved into it. But, you're still there to bounce ideas off if and or when needed.
Wonderful insight, Michael. So looking forward to catching up with you with the business of real estate. Quick plug now. All the details are below. Just give us the details. Michael, just briefly, and also what we can expect at the business of real estate.
I think two things. The first thing, I'd just love to summarize these five that we've talked about in terms of today. And these are great preps for a brilliant 2022, which is really, I sort of frame this as mapping into 2022. So it's vision clarity. It's getting super clear on where you're heading and creating a compelling future for the team to actually buy into. Secondly, it's actually building strength in your values. So everyone in the team, they're communicated and understood by everyone in the team. Then it's about recognizing we need a performance culture and defining what that performance culture is. So it's no longer my opinion, your opinion. This is what we define as the culture we want, what's in and also what's out. Of course, then we want to be able to recruit the right people. So applying the ABR, always be recruiting. So we're bringing talent into the business that's going to make a difference. And finally, then coaching them for greatness, helping them realize their true potential in a way that they're going to look back at the decision they made to join your firm as one of the best decisions they made in their entire career, maybe in their entire life, because of who you've been for them and the pathway you've actually shown them. So that's what we focused on in terms of today. Yeah?
Yep.
All good, KT?
All good, mate. Yep, fantastic.
So with business of real estate, I love to see you there. We're in the 50-60% already sold, and it's on the 28th of Feb and the 1st of March. There is a half-day independent only session the following day. So if you're an independent and you want to come to that, you're more than welcome to attend. And the thing that I'll really stress is that it's an environment where you aren't doing a timeout for a couple of days. You're doing it in a great environment up on the Gold Coast. And the real key is you walking in with one level of thinking and one kind of view on your business, and you'll walk out with an elevated view. And I always say, with an elevated view, you'll always make better decisions and take more effective actions. Mm-hmm. And literally, I'd love to see you there and to work with you with the 16 plus amazing speakers and talent that we're able to bring together to help our clients achieve great results.
There you go. Do yourself a favour, make a commitment right now. Book. All the links are below. We'll see you last day of February, first day of March next year for the business of real estate on the Gold Coast. All the details below. Hey, Michael, thank you, my friend. Always great talking to you, and I look forward to talking to you. Mate, if I don't talk to you before, have a wonderful Christmas, and I hope you're going to get a bit of a break over between 21 and 22.
Thanks, Kevin. And I was just really connecting. This is probably my last Realty Uncut for the year. So I just want to sincerely thank every single leader. I just think the profession has done a remarkable job through lockdowns, through very vague guidelines that have been provided that vary on a day-to-day basis. The leaders and your teams have just been exceptional in delivering an amazing level of service to clients. So thank you for wishing me to have a great break between, but I'm really wishing the real estate profession to recognize, yes, we're still got to run through to the end of the year, but make sure you celebrate and have an amazing Christmas, New Year with family and friends, and come back recharged and refocused, ready to actually go in 2022. Thanks, Kevin.
Good stuff, Michael. Thank you very much. And thank you for being with us. And make sure you book in and get to the business of real estate. I'll see you there then, if not before. I'm Kevin Turner. Thanks for being with us. We'll see you again next week.
Realty Uncut is part of the Realty Media Group and is powered by CoreLogic and Printforce. See all our shows, Realty Talk, The Property Show, Realty Uncut and Auction Update at realty.com.au, the home of property.